New neighbor and her adult daughter constantly show up at my house multiple times a day asking for favors, even trying to get my kids to open the door. After I refused to dog sit, she tied her dog to my gate and left. I, 31F, moved into a new house 2 months ago. I have 3 young kids. This is important later. At first, my neighbor was very nice and popped in once in a while to see how we are settling in. This was fine. Now, she and her daughter, 23F, are calling in 2 to 3 times a day asking to borrow something or for me to do them a favor. It is never anything huge, but it is really annoying. I have tried not answering the door, but they walk around the house peering into windows until they get the aforementioned children's attention, and they will ask the kids to answer the door. I have told them that I am very busy and don't have time. Nothing changed. I have tried to be nice but firm, but I am really quiet and non-confrontational. As I am in this house for at least the next 2 years, I don't want to fight with them. The last straw was today when the mother asked me to mind their dog for today, tonight, and all day tomorrow so she could go out to a party. I said no. I have 2 cats, they dislike dogs greatly. She came back twice more. I stuck by my guns and refused. She tied the dog on my gate and went to her party. What the hell, Reddit? Help. How do I, nicely, make her go away? /relevant comments. Commenter. You will not be able to nicely make her go away. If nice was a word in her lexicon, she wouldn't do crap like you posted. Take photos of her peering in your windows. Next time she walks around your property, off the sidewalk, call the police for trespassing. She's exhibiting stalker-like behaviors. Ops response. I'm going to tell her not to call in anymore as I am very busy and she is too much with her requests, but in smaller words. She is not a smart man. Thank you, I need to grow a pair. Commenter 2. Not sure about how to make her go away, but in terms of being left with the dog, you should take it to a kennel or a dog sitter and leave her with the bill. It is not okay to leave a pet with someone else when they explicitly said no 3 times, especially when they have a legit reason, as you do. Ops response. Thank you, I just texted her and said that I was putting the dog outside for the night. She said, no, she can sleep in your bed. What? Commenter 3. You text her back and tell her no. You don't want a dog in your bed or in your house. If she wants it to sleep in a bed, she should not have gone anywhere and left it with someone who said they couldn't take care of it. The dog will be outside when she gets back. You can let the dog stay inside if it is behaved and you feel bad for it, but get up early and tie it outside so she thinks it stayed out all night. I know you don't want to be rude, but stop being her doormat. Tell the kids they are not allowed to open the door for anyone, and there will be punishment if they do. If she asks to borrow things, make a notebook and have her sign for what she borrows. More than one unreturned item means, sorry, you still have not returned this thing and I need it, I can't let you have anything else until I get this back. She wants to borrow a few eggs? Ask for a cup of sugar. Put up curtains she can't see through. Or write notes and tape them in the windows. Please don't peek through my windows. I didn't answer the door because I am busy, try back in an hour. If she won't stop calling, answer the phone and give it to the youngest, most unable to speak child, and tell them to talk about whatever they are excited about. My nephew can rattle on about Hot Wheels cars all day. She asks you for help? Sure, I can get to that in about 2 weeks. She just comes over to chat and be nosy? Rope her into whatever task you are working on. Sure, I can talk, but I need to get these clothes folded. Would you mind doing those towels for me while we talk? Or hand her a towel and a wet dish to dry. Ops response. I texted her back and said she is outside. If you are not home by 10 a.m., I will be leaving her outside your house, as I have plans and will not be home. I have the kids warned not to open the door. I tried the cleaning plan before. I saw her walk up the driveway, so I started vacuuming. She knocked, I ignored it, she walked around the house and got in the back door, I forgot to lock it, and she stood in the kitchen for 40 minutes as I hoovered the already clean house. When I finished, she was still there and it was time for me to collect the kids from school. I got my keys and she asked for a ride to the shop. I said no, it's in the opposite direction of the school, and she got angry. I should point out it's a 10-minute walk to the shop. I left her fuming on my doorstep, where I found her when I came back 30 minutes later. This is the level of crazy we are dealing with. Op when told to call animal control. I am in Ireland, they work from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., it's almost 7 p.m. here. Looks like I am stuck with this bloody thing for the night. Op adds an edit to her post. Thank you all for answering, I really didn't expect so many responses. You guys are great. I kept the dog inside last night because it wasn't her fault, and I felt guilty leaving it out. The dog didn't settle. At all. I finally got asleep at 5:30 this morning, so I am just exhausted. I have had enough and am going to have it out with her today. I have decided to tell her that her damn dog kept me up all night, and the next time that she pulls that stunt, she won't see the dog again. I will call the ISPCA, she doesn't need to know that. I'm also going to tell her that I have had enough of her and she isn't welcome anymore. If she knocks on my door again, I am calling the police. I will update on the reaction and whether it works or not. On a side note, I'm bloody terrified. Thanks again to everyone. Update 2 days later. First of all, thank you everyone who answered. I hadn't expected such a response, you guys are brilliant. I can't thank you enough for your suggestions and advice. The dog kept us awake all night, no matter what I tried, it would not sleep or even shut up. I finally got asleep at 5:30 that morning. So when the neighbor, I'm calling her Mary, rocked in yesterday afternoon to ask for some milk, I was fit to kill. I had left the dog tied to her gate at 10 a.m. and sent her a text saying the same. She didn't reply or mention it when she knocked at the door. I had locked the front door and warned the kids not to open it. When I opened it, she tried to walk in by me. I didn't say anything, but didn't let her in. Mary said, "How was the dog for you? Isn't she a pet?" I told her that no, the dog was not a pet, it had been a nightmare, that we had gotten no sleep. She replied that if I had just let the dog sleep in my bed under the covers, it would have been fine. And the next time I should let her into my bed. I kinda saw red at that point, I don't let my kids sleep in my bed, never mind a damn dog. I told her there would not be a next time, and that if she ever left her dog tied to my gate again, the dog would disappear. She stood silently with her mouth open. I went on to tell her that I was not the type of person to ask for favors from people I didn't know, and I don't expect it to be done to me. I finished by telling her that while I hoped we could continue to get on, she was not welcome in my house uninvited or to ask me to do something for her. She stormed off. That was yesterday. I haven't seen her since. But the day is young. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Well done you. Just wondering, what did you tell your kids regarding why they shouldn't let her in? There's definitely a lesson to be learned in this experience. Ops response. I told them that we had a new house rule, and only parents could answer the door, no matter who it was. Commenter 2. Just curious, what are some of the things they would call you about other than the dog? Ops response. Milk, sugar, my weighing scales, bread, a cigarette, a ride to the shops, a stamp, to use my washing machine. You name it, she asked for it. Commenter 3. Wow. Just wow. How far away from you are places to buy these things? I have never asked a neighbor, unless they are a really good friend, for one of these things. Ops response. A 10-minute walk. She doesn't drive, but her legs are working just fine. Second update 2 weeks later. Hi guys, I haven't updated for a while, 'cause things have been a bit crazy. Again, I want to thank you all for your messages, support, and advice. You guys are the best. After I had it out with her, she backed off, big time, for a while. For around a week, she didn't come near me, which was awesome. But she isn't the sharpest tool in the box, so it didn't last long. Last week she was having a party and came in to invite us in. I said no thanks. I should point out that she hadn't spoken to me since I told her that I wouldn't be taking her dog again, so the invitation was completely out of the blue and honestly a bit weird. Anyway, the party was last Friday night. She must have tried to call in when I was collecting the kids from school, 'cause when I got home there was a note that said party starting at 6. Bring kids. Mary. I didn't. The party started, and went on and on and on. At 12 o'clock, I went in and asked her to turn the music down. It was blaring into her back garden and my kids' bedrooms around the back of our house. She said, "Oh hi op, come on in." I told her no, thank you, please just turn the music down, my kids can't sleep. She didn't. Instead, she suggested that I get the kids and my husband, and we all go to the party. At midnight. She thought it was a good idea to bring my kids into a house full of drunk strangers. Really? Anyway, I went in twice more to ask her to turn down the music, then I gave up and called the police. When the cops arrived, they turned it down for about 5 minutes. Long story short, this happened a few times. The music was finally turned off at 4:30. I met her the next day as I was getting into my car. She said, "Oh, I hope that music didn't bother you last night." I told her of course it had bothered me. I had called into her numerous times and resorted to calling the police. She said, "Well, I turned it off at 1 o'clock. I said no, it was 4:30. She said, "Well, at least it was good music." Really? Anyway, I told her that if it happened again, I would be speaking to her landlord. She hasn't spoken to me since. It seems to be going in cycles. She pushes her luck, gets given out to, sulks for a week or two, and then does it again. We can't afford to move for another year or two, so I am stuck with a crazy BTCH for a while. I think that I just need to accept that I have a really horrible, selfish neighbor, and this behavior is just going to continue until I can afford to move. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I have been reading this since the first post, and I gotta ask, is she really oblivious about her behavior? When I read your text, I put it in an old lady who is semi-senile voice. But given her actions and this loud party, is she being snarky, or does she actually have an innocent face and believe she isn't being a BTCH? Ops response. She's mid-40s, and I genuinely think in her head she is a wonderful neighbor and a joy to know. She also gets really angry when you point out that she is being inconsiderate. Commenter 2. I agree that from Ops' perspective, the neighbor has been very unreasonable in the past, but if the police did not do anything about the loud music, maybe it's because they didn't think the neighbor was that unreasonable. There is a chance that Op is becoming hypersensitive and overly critical of everything the woman does, and trying to get her evicted is pretty extreme, in my opinion. Op's response. They told her to turn it down, and she did. When the police left, she turned it back up. I wasn't the only neighbor to complain to the police. They called up to her once and didn't go near the house again. I spoke to several neighbors with young kids who also complained after I had, and nothing happened. Edit. I have no intention of getting her evicted, and to be honest, if she won't listen to the cops, I doubt she'll care what her landlord has to say. But I am willing to ask her to keep it down. Third update 11 years later. Hi all, I'm Up. I love this sub and was a bit shocked to see my post in it. I'd long forgotten about it and really should have updated. I hope it's okay to do it here. I was going through a lot at that time, my kids were young, my husband was back in college and we were trying to recover from the recession. I think Mary could see I was non-confrontational and in a bad place, and thought that I was an easy target. My husband had lost his job and was in college, but was going through a mental health crisis during this time, so I was essentially dealing with it alone while trying to hold everything in my house together. She continued asking for things, and trying to call in. I locked the gate and door, and stopped opening it if I wasn't expecting someone. She started messaging me on Facebook. I blocked her. It went like that for a while, and she slowly stopped trying. Occasionally, she'd see me out with the kids and come over to try get me to do something or tell me some big drama she was having, presumably to make me feel sorry for her, but I just grey-rocked her. In the meantime, I met a few other neighbors, I tend to keep to myself, who told me this was her tactic with anyone new, and most of them didn't speak to her. The cold shoulder eventually worked. It was slow though. But for about a year I had peace. Then she moved out. Well done to the person in the comments who said they'd never met an Irish person who acted like that. She wasn't Irish, and went back to her home country. I'm still in that house, 15 years later. My husband is much better, my kids are all in college. My new neighbor is lovely. We say a few words to each other when we see each other, and when it was her child's communication, she dropped in cake and wine as there was going to be a party and she wanted to make sure I didn't mind the noise. There was no noise I noticed. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Just out of curiosity, where was she from? Ops response. She was English? Commenter 2. I'm so glad you're rid of that neighbor. But please tell us you've also gone to therapy to work through your extreme fear of confrontation. This was extremely hard to read, as someone who's spent a lot of time erecting and maintaining boundaries with the terrible people in my life. Ops response. I did. Many years later. I got CBT for OCD, and we actually dealt with my non-confrontational nature. I had extremely low self-worth, and a host of underlying mental health issues, so you'll be happy to know I have since grown a shiny backbone. Thanks so much for your kind words.